Sports Authority since 1947. The voice of Alamance Sports is here. The weekend is over, but the debate has just begun. Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the show that everyone in Alamance County is talking about. The program that sets the agenda for the week ahead. This is the UniFirst Corporation Monday Night Huddle. We're ready to dive deep into every thrilling moment. We're tearing down the tape on the gridiron, breaking down the buzzer beaters on the hardwood, analyzing the action on the diamond, and covering so much more across the entire sports landscape. Your voice matters here. The phone lines are open, and we want to hear your takes, your triumphs, and your predictions. The UniFirst Corporation Monday Night Huddle is proudly brought to you by Things Above, The Fat Man and His Food, Buffalo Lanes Family Bowling, and Discount Furniture Connection. Get comfortable, get ready to call, and let's talk some sports. The UniFirst Corporation Monday Night Huddle starts now.
Welcome to the UniFirst Corporation Monday Night Huddle. UniFirst is North America's premier team outfitter, providing the essential products your team needs to succeed. Whether it's uniforms, first aid supplies, safety gear, or other essential items, trust UniFirst to help your team look professional and perform its best on the field or in the office. Be sure to learn more at unifirst.com. Once again, welcome into the Monday Night Huddle. I'm your host, Vance. Ballard. Todd Davis will be joining us here in just a few minutes. What a week in sports it was, and we've got a jam-packed show for you tonight. As you know, we're a couple weeks into conference play on the hardwood, and we've had a shakeup at the top of the boys' side here in Alamance County. The Blue Devils stayed hot over the week, and the Tar Heels got back to their winning ways, both of which have now packed their bags for a West Coast road trip as they'll head out to California for the week. The NFL playoffs have officially arrived, and boy, did Super Wildcard Weekend deliver. I know the NFL has dropped the Super from the Wildcard Weekend name, but based on the games we saw, I don't see how you couldn't add it back. The Panthers came up just short, but what a game that was. The Bears and Packers played a classic on Saturday night, and then it took until the second half of the night game on Sunday before we saw our first two-score lead. It was great football all up and down the schedule all weekend long. We've got more updates coming from the transfer portal, including an extremely interesting landing spot for former Elon quarterback Landon Clark. Buckle up, folks. It's one of the busiest times of the sports calendar, and the Huddle is here to talk about it all. As I mentioned, Todd Davis will be joining us here shortly. I'll be sitting in right now. I'm your host, Vance Ballard, and we're going to start where we always do, where this show kind of has its roots here locally in Alamance County. And we'll just run through the scores from Friday night. We have Tuesday's update on YouTube. If you missed any of that action or updates or catch up, go over onto the WBAG AM/FM Sports YouTube page, and you can find a recap of all of last Tuesday's action. If you want a more detailed breakdown of that midweek schedule, be sure, once again, check out WBAG AM/FM Sports on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button while you're there as well. But not going to necessarily do a lot of recapping from Tuesday. There are, however, some shout-outs that must be mentioned. Clara LaChapelle of Southeast Alamance High School, along with Aaliyah Trollinger of Eastern Alamance High School. Both of those athletes entered the 1,000-point club for their career this past week, so congratulations to those ladies. Coach Amy Surratt of Southeast Alamance High School, she received her 200th victory on Tuesday night in a win over Western Alamance, and I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out Xavier McPherson from Eastern Alamance. He scored 31 on Tuesday night as well, so a big performance from him. And then congratulations to the other three names we mentioned again, Clara LaChapelle, Aaliyah Trollinger in the 1,000-point club, and Coach Amy Surratt has now received win number 200 in her career. So we'll dive now into the recent action of Friday's slate. It was a big one. We knew there was going to be a lot on the line on Friday. We had one of the better rivalries in our conference, in our county, and quite possibly in our state, taking place as Eastern Alamance made the short trip to Western on Friday night, and that's where we're going to start here this evening. Not necessarily going to go exactly in the conference standing updates. That video will be coming out tomorrow as well, so you'll have that update before the end of the week, and things get switched back up again when we tip back off. This round of that rivalry goes to the Eagles as they come away with a varsity sweep, girls winning 68-52, and the boys coming out on top 75-68 on the road again at Western Alamance. The win for the Lady Eagles keeps them undefeated in conference play and tied atop the conference with Southeast Alamance. Both of those teams sit at 4-0 in conference play and are on track for a collision course to meet each other next week on Tuesday. If a few things can fall in the right direction for both of these teams this week, then it will be a battle of undefeateds next week on Tuesday. But we don't want to look too far ahead, as we know both of these teams are laser focused on the task at hand and what is right in front of them. They've been good at doing that all year long and will continue to do so. 3 Eagles on Friday night scored in double figures. Tatiana Ross, Michaela Scott, and Aaliyah Trollinger all had double digits for the Lady Eagles. Scott also added 9 rebounds to her night. While the Lady Warriors are reeling a little bit right now, they need to find a way to get the train back on the tracks sooner rather than later. We've talked about them coming off of a state championship last year, and as well as Southeast. But again, we've talked about the difference that in those two teams and how they look. Western right now sits a little bit more. The traditional state champion was led by 2 seniors to the state title last year. Both of those have gone on to brighter pastures, greener pastures, if you will, from Western Alamance, and now they're trying to figure things back out, who they're going to lean on this year, who's going to come in and step up and provide some of that production that has gone from last year. And right now the Warriors are still kind of struggling in places to find that they're an athletic bunch. And something you can take away from this here is it was one of their highest offensive outputs of the season, their second highest offensive output of the season. So things are, one of their highest offensive outputs of the season. So things are going in the right direction. And the Lady Eagles don't often give up 52. So offensively they did manage to score the ball well. It's just that three-headed monster, Ariana Gregory, Michaela Scott, Aaliyah Trollinger, and then you throw in a fourth, Tatiana Ross, who takes Ariana Gregory's spot and scores double figures on Friday night, and it makes things tough for anybody. Now, I know I'll be the first one to admit to all of you out there that my bias does show a little bit when talking about the Eagles, but with all of that aside, I think both of these teams, men and women's, can compete with the top of the conference, the Southeast Alamance right now. Williams sits right there on the boys' side as well. Eastern can compete at the top of the conference with both of those teams, and we do get to find that out next week, like I said. But before we get there, of course, there are going to be games this week. They'll be fun to watch as well. Eastern will play tomorrow night and Friday night this week. Also, Western will do the same. The Lady Warriors, again, they're trying to figure things out. They'll get it back on track. They're a well-coached ball club. They're led by senior Reagan Averett, and she's got experience. She was part of that state championship team from last year. A couple other girls are as well. Sophomore Ava Mitchell has been a bright spot for Coach Lloyd's team as well. So they just have to kind of find the right pieces, when to plug and play, and get their feet underneath them. And I think that this Lady Warrior team can kind of finish this last month of the season on the right foot and on a bright spot and head into the playoffs like they were last year. Again, as they try to repeat and try to defend their state title, it'll be an uphill battle for the Lady Warriors, but never say never. Now, we did mention the varsity sweep as the Eagles got a victory in the boys' game as well. That moves them to 3-1 in the conference, keeps them tied for second with Williams, who dropped their game on Friday night as well, which we will talk about later on in the show. The Warriors moved to 1-3 in conference play so far, so they're trying to figure it out on the boys' side as well. Sophomore Mason Murphy for the Eagles exploded for 28 points and 12 rebounds, while Jamarius Toney also added a double-double of his own. He had 13 points, 15 rebounds in that game. And their other guys, Xavier McPherson, Christian Hester, Hunter Eichman, those guys didn't pop off the stat sheet at you that on Friday night, but we know the roles they play, as we've talked about those guys several times here on the Monday Night Huddle and throughout our other broadcasts on WBAG. That team, again, as I mentioned, is one that is poised to compete at the top of the conference for this conference championship. They're going to be a tough out. Minus one slip-up against Person. This team is playing their best basketball at the exact right time of the season. They come out of the holiday tournament having played well, won one game, lost one game over the holiday break, They're now off to a good start out of the Christmas break, having won both of their games from last week as well, and getting ready they got a tough stretch coming up. They play Williams tomorrow, so that'll be a battle of the second-place teams. Both of them sit again at 3-1 in conference play, which will be a real test of the theory that I have that this team is poised to compete at the top of the conference before they do play Graham on Friday night. It'll be very interesting, again, to continue to watch the youth of this Eagles team. They're led, again, by their sophomore, Mason Murphy. He had a big night. Maybe that was a coming out of his, I don't want to say coming out of his shell, because he has been one of the better players in this conference all year long. But when I've watched him, it does take him a little bit of time throughout the game to realize that he is as big as some of the older and more experienced guys on the floor with him. He's as big, he's as strong. He can get down in the paint and bang with some of those bigger some of those older bodies. They're not exactly bigger. And he's had, and it seems like now he's started to realize that coming out of the holiday break as well. And that could take the Eagles a very, very long ways in this conference and further on into the playoffs as well. No stats from Western, but this is their second highest offensive output of the season on the boys' side, so both boys and girls scoring the ball well right now. Maybe they're figuring some things out on that side of the floor. We know that Western still has the talent to sneak up on some teams, and if you get caught sleeping against them later on in the season, that could potentially cost you, because they are a well-coached ball club. They're an athletic bunch, and they play good, strong defense as well. They've got a road test at Cummings next up for them, Cummings did play Person on Friday, but we don't know much about that. I do apologize for that. Don't have any scores from that, so we'll get those out as soon as we figure them out and let you know exactly where that stands. We will take our first break here on the Monday Night Huddle. We'll be right back. Once again, Todd Davis will be in shortly to join us and give us his Todd Stradamus opinions. He's got another transfer portal thing that he wants to talk about, and I've got something he may or may not know about. Depends on if he's figured it out yet, but we'll discuss all of that and more when we return on the Monday Night Huddle. We'll stay with high school basketball until we're done, and then deep dive.
Monday Night Huddle is sponsored by Fat Man and His Food, your place for fantastic barbecue, tacos, fish, ribs, chicken, and more. Their motto says it all. Come hungry and leave happy. Don't change that dial. The Huddle returns in a moment.
Football is here, and nothing goes better with football than barbecue. Whether at home with your friends or trying to punt that tailgate over the top, you need the Fat Man. Fat Man and His Food caters the best barbecue around and is the perfect play call for any event. With pulled pork, brisket, turkey, and all the fixins, let the Fat Man make this your best season yet. Call the Fat Man and His Food at 336-844-5000 today to kick your game day off right.
This is the Monday Night Huddle on WBAG. Now, back to the action with Vance Ballard and Todd Davis.
Welcome back to the Monday Night Huddle. Once again, Vance Ballard with you until Todd arrives. He's on his way. He'll be here shortly, folks. Don't worry. Those sweet nothings will get whispered to you on this lovely Monday night. Thank you so much for listening. As always, the phone lines are open, 336-222-9224. If you've got something you want to talk about in the Alamance County sports world or the sports world in general, we'll be happy to discuss that with you. Sticking with some high school basketball recaps from over the week, though. Southern and Graham played on Friday night as well. Again, this was a boys-only matchup. We've mentioned that Graham does not have a girls' team, and the Patriots got their first conference win of the season, a much-needed conference victory for Southern, 72-60 over the Red Devils. A good win over a team we know and have talked about at length here as being a very talented squad. They're very well coached. Coach Justin Cousin over there at Graham, we know what his legacy and his name means around that school in terms of basketball anyway, and we know he is a good coach, and he's going to get those guys in the right direction. So this is a good win for Southern. The Patriots were led by 23 points and 9 rebounds from Josiah Allen on Friday, 13 from Sincere Thompson, and 11 from Garrett Ledbetter as well. Graham was led by 28 from Michael Woods and a double-double with 14 points and 12 rebounds from Ladario Johnson. One thing we have mentioned about Graham, the way it's seen so far this season, they're still kind of looking for that third piece of the puzzle. Who is it going to be to come and help Woods and Ladario Johnson? Malachi Ware has been that guy a few times for him this season, but who's going to be able to step in for the rest of this last month and be that consistent third piece of the puzzle? Both Graham and Southern right now sit at 6th and 7th at 1 and 3 in conference play as they get ready for their week upcoming. Southern will travel to Person on Tuesday night before they play Cummings on Friday night. Graham gets ready for a game for Southeast to come to town tomorrow night, and then they play Eastern Alamance on Friday night. So a big week for all of these teams here in the conference, and a couple good tests for this Graham team, as well as they've got Southeast and Eastern on the schedule for this week, two of the top men's teams in this conference. So if they are able to get it figured out and turned around, this would be the week they would hope to do it. And now we're going to switch games there again. Southern has a couple big games coming up this week as well. They travel to Person. That's a team we know is capable of sneaking up on you. They knocked off the Eagles early in the conference season. And then again on Friday night, it'll be a good game in Burlington. Cummings at Southern on Friday night. Those two teams both trying to not necessarily get themselves out of the basement of the conference, but trying to figure things out here as we now hit our stride in conference play, and they try and fully figure out exactly what they're going to be as a team going forward into this conference season and maybe potentially the postseason if somebody can get hot on either the Graham or Southern squads. Now, last but not least was WBAG's Graham Sporting Goods Game of the Week on Friday, featuring the visiting Southeast Alamance Stallions as they traveled to Williams High School to face off against the Bulldogs. In the girls' game, the Lady Stallions continue to roll. They stay undefeated, move to 15-0 with a 60-26 victory over the Lady Bulldogs. And like I've said on the broadcasts throughout this season and here on this Monday Night Huddle as well, I think realistically we're just starting to learn how good this Southeast team actually is. This is their second consecutive game giving up single digits in the first half. Also their second straight game giving up just 26 points. And only one team has scored 30 plus in their last 6 games. So it's been a stifling defensive effort, but they can do it offensively as well. They're led, as you know, by Clara LaChapelle, Shania Paylor, Ariana Johnson, but they get input and positive production from all over the place. Saya McCliver, Delise Edwards, Nevaeh Faust, those two are freshmen. Sierra Payton comes off the bench, and she can shoot the three when necessary. So this team, as I've coined them, is the Lex Luger. They are the total package, this Lady Stallion team, and they were able to put that on even further display on Friday night. Again, they didn't lay down for Williams by any means, but not a lot of playing time for the starters there in the second half. Williams did play well after the break, though. They held Southeast in the second quarter 2.5 minutes without scoring a point. That was something you got to take away and be positive about if you're Coach Jason Cheek. In the third quarter, Williams actually won the third quarter over Southeast 11-9, if I believe, if my calculations are correct, if my memory serves. So there was some positives to be taken away from this Lady Bulldog team, and we've talked about it ad nauseum here on the program. Pretty much every time you mention them, you have to say how young they are, the youth of this team. 0 seniors, just 4 juniors on the entire roster, and the youth of that team was evident. It was on display on Friday night, but there were points, as I mentioned, where the talent of those young athletes was as well. Again, Maddie Harris is a tough, hard-nosed, gritty point guard. She's one of the smaller players on the floor, but she's fantastic at crashing the glass. She knows how to squeeze in and out of those little creases and find herself in the right position to get rebounds. London Scott is very good. Malia Scott, I apologize, is very good for the Lady Bulldogs. She's one of the bright spots on the team. London Hairston is another big defensive factor for this Lady Bulldog team. All those girls very young, and they're very promising future for Coach Jason Cheek and his team. He's a very good coach. We know the quality of development he's able to put into his young team. So I think the future very much so is looking bright for Coach Jason Cheek and this Lady Bulldogs team. Could potentially continue to be a tough year as they figure it out and just kind of mature as a team, but watch out for them in the next couple years, in the coming years, as this youth continues to develop and get and gain experience at the varsity level. I think they're going to be a dangerous team to watch going forwards. Now, the boys matchup between Williams and Southeast, it was hyped up all week long. I was pumped up about it, and it absolutely delivered on its marquee status, as 4 quarters were not enough for the teams that sat atop the conference on Friday night. The Stallions stepped on the gas in overtime, however, finishing with a 79-72 win. But what a game it was. It was a hard-fought, down-to-the-wire, slobber knocker, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it, that's what it was. A heavyweight boxing match is what this felt like. The gym was packed out over at Williams. Crowds were lively. Both Southeast and Williams had their own sections rocking. It was an incredible environment, and the players really fed off that. The duo of Colby Elliott and Bubba Sims led the way for the Bulldogs, combining for 60 of the 72 points that Williams scored. Elliott scored 28 of those 60, grabbed 9 rebounds to go along with it, while Sims scored 22, had 9 rebounds and 8 assists as well, so he was just a couple numbers away from a triple-double. And those two are the motor that make that Bulldog team go. They go as Elliott and Sims go. Again, I mentioned they scored 60 of the 72 points. I don't know if that helps or hurts the Bulldogs sometimes in spots, because when the defense can kind of clamp down on Elliott or Sims, it limits them. Now, not to say the Bulldogs don't have other options for production. It's just that those two, Elliott and Sims, are so good, they tend to stack up the stat sheet. And then on the defensive side of the ball, if you can kind of cut them off, that tends to be where the Bulldogs seem to fall off a little bit. Now, there were spots in this game where it looked like Williams was going to take the victory, but I think that just speaks to the fight and determination, the persistence of Coach Bo Williamson's Southeast squad. It was a team effort all around from them. They were led, as usual, by Stu Edwards and Donnie Fairley, but it was a 100% Iron Man effort from Fairley from the first tip-off of the game, and possibly stemming from last Tuesday's game against Western Alamance, where we saw him with a bag of ice on his left hand. You could see right from the beginning on Friday that he was in a lot of pain, discomfort with his left hand. He was not feeling well at all, and he gutted it out and was the X factor that helped the Stallions pull away there in overtime. So you can't say enough about the effort that he put in against Stu Edwards, James Keenan, Ja'Kai McKenzie. They also had good nights to help get the Southeast team the victory, but it was just a true testament to the toughness, to the grit, and the care about victory and his teammates that Donnie Fairley has. Watching him out there again, he was visibly uncomfortable, but it was nice. It was impressive to watch him tough it out and grit through that. And if you heard some rattling in the background there, folks, that is the voice I've been promising you. Todd Davis has joined us. Todd, how are you this evening?
I am great. Woo.
Ooh, and I got your microphone right. Look at me.
Yeah.
Guess the right one this time.
See, I kind of moved in, but now I had to back it. Yeah, I'm great. Yeah, I had an autograph session. I had to go sign some autographs.
It's tough being the busiest man in Alamance County. I know it.
But, yeah, you talk about Donnie Fairley. We saw him last week against Western Alamance, and he went out early. Mm-hmm. And because of that injury, have we figured out what exactly has happened to him?
No, nothing has been told to us or disclosed or anything like that. I mentioned it on Friday. His right hand that's normally wrapped up, that one is traditionally wrapped as if he's about to go under a boxing glove or like maybe just to kind of keep his wrist stable when he's shooting. But his left hand was taped up almost like a Mean Joe Green era offensive or defensive lineman, around pieces of tape around each one of his fingers. And you could tell that it was something to do with contact. He blocked a shot early in the game with that left hand, and you could see him walk over to the wall and kind of put his head down, and you could tell he wasn't comfortable. He bumped into it a couple times throughout the game, and you could just see on his face some grimaces and some pain there. But again, as I mentioned, it didn't slow him down, especially in that overtime. He grabbed a couple huge rebounds late in the game, knocked down 4 free throws in overtime to pretty much seal the victory for the Stallions. So he was able to put on, like I said, that Iron Man performance and overcome that injury, but it is certainly something to keep an eye on.
And we had seen that earlier in the week, last Tuesday, a week ago tomorrow, against Western Alamance. He sat on that bench and just grimaced in pain. I mean, you could tell he was not Donnie Fairley. He was hurt. He was injured, holding that hand, but had ice on it. And you saw him every once in a while try to move it a little bit, get his fingers moving, but he never came back into the game. Of course, they didn't need him, but it got to the point to where his backups were starting to get into foul trouble. But that's the thing. But let me get back to the ladies' game. I was listening on the way in. Faust, when you mentioned her name, I just beamed. I lit up. This is a freshman that is playing like a senior now for Coach Surratt.
Yep.
I mean, she is phenomenal.
Absolutely. Now she's got 15 games of experience under her belt. She's got an incredible coach in Coach Surratt. She's got not an even better, but just as good of a teacher from a perspective of Claire LaChapelle being the player in front of her. She just entered her into the 1,000-point club. She's a leader on and off the court. She's a fantastic example, and she's really, really good at basketball. So you can learn all of those things, and you can tell, like you said, Nevaeh Faust has definitely done that.
And so Faust comes in when LaChapelle goes out, and there is absolutely no momentum. There's no droppage of defense and no droppage of offense with her coming in, replacing this superstar in LaChapelle. And she just takes right over. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when she becomes a senior?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be scary because she's playing like a senior now.
Well, she's a freshman. Delise Edwards is a freshman who comes off the bench and is extremely productive for that team. Ariana Johnson, who is the leading scorer and arguably the best player on that team, she's a sophomore as well. So in 2 years, she'll be a senior. Those other two I just mentioned will be juniors, and it'll be even scarier. And then again, they have one more year in terms of Edwards and Faust, that is, to follow them up. The depth of this Stallion team, both men and women, it's scary because neither Coach Surratt or Coach Williamson are scared to go 7, 8, 9 deep.
No.
A lot more than 7, honestly. They're not scared to go 8, 9, 10 deep in their benches. They trust their bench players with more, that you can see that trust develop more throughout each game. Coach Williamson has recently brought up a guy named D-Ray Perry. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout him out.
Oh, my gosh, I forgot about him.
Not even on the varsity roster, but he has now started the last 2 games for Southeast and has made his presence felt. He's not crumbled in the moment. It hasn't gotten, the lights haven't been too bright for him. So again, just the depth and the athleticism all throughout both of these Southeast rosters. It's scary. It's going to be fun to watch as they'll travel to Graham tomorrow, the Southeast boys, that is, before Person comes to Mebane on Friday night for a girls and boys game. Williams goes to Eastern tomorrow before Western comes to town on Friday. And that, Todd, will wrap up the high school basketball portion of tonight's Monday Night Huddle. So
sorry, I missed it.
No, not a problem. We'll take, like you said, famous man, you got other stuff to do, busy guy. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll jump into some of the fun stuff. Duke and UNC both have taken the floor since we last spoke. The Devils winning twice. The Tar Heels were able to get back into their winning ways this weekend as well. We will talk about that, then get to the transfer portal and the NFL playoffs on the back half of the show as well. We'll be right back on the First Corporation Monday Night Huddle.
You're listening to the Monday Night Huddle with Vance and Todd, brought to you by Buffalo Lane's Mebane Family Bowling Center. This is your destination for fun. Planning a family night, date night, office party, or special event? Buffalo Lane's Mebane offers an exciting and memorable experience for everyone. Grab a ball, hit the lanes, and bowl with the herd. We'll have more Huddle coverage after the break.
It may be cooling off outdoors, but things are just heating up at Buffalo Lanes in Mebane, featuring 18 bowling lanes with a brand new interactive scoring system and a full arcade. Buffalo Lanes is the perfect family-owned, alcohol-free entertainment for a night out with the whole group. With food at the Pig Pen by the Fat Man, cozy up for a wonderful date night. Roll on over to Buffalo Lanes at 103 South 5th Street in Mebane to make sure your next family night, birthday party, or date night is guaranteed to be a strike.
This is the Monday Night Huddle on WBAG. Now, back to the action with Vance Ballard and Todd Davis.
Welcome back to Monday Night Huddle here on WBAG, your hometown radio station. Vance, Ballard, Todd Davis with you. We just finished wrapping up high school basketball. We're going to stay on the hardwood, though, and talk a little bit about two of the college teams that are featured here on WBAG, Duke and Carolina. I mentioned they both took the floor since we last spoke, Todd. We'll start with the team that played first and more, the Blue Devils. They were able to pass another test, if you'll call it, by beating a ranked Louisville team on Tuesday. They did, however, again have to rely on a second-half comeback after another slow start. They trailed 47-38 at the half. They then beat SMU this weekend and almost looked the opposite in that game as they took a lead into half, a 6-point lead into half, only won the game by 7. And if you look at the record, Todd, 15-1, if you just look at the final scores, if you look at the ranking next to their name, then you think, man, this Duke team is pretty darn good. But if you're paying attention...
They're having to come back after every game.
Yeah, and if you're being honest with yourself as Duke fans or as just observers like we are, there's some pretty glaring question marks about this Duke team, no question, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, the big thing is when you are a superstar in high school and you move up to that next level, and, you know, I give Coach Shire the benefit because he has organized a great bunch of guys here. Mm-hmm. So you go from being one star to being 1 point of a 5-pointed star. Sometimes it's hard, and I see that they are kind of gelling a little bit, but they're still, just like Carolina, they still hadn't hit that plateau. This is not the Duke team I'm expecting. I mean, even though the record is 15-1, they've won some big games, and they've came back and they've showed a lot of diversity, a lot of tenacity, or as JR says in WWE, testicular fortitude.
That's it.
And, you know, they should honestly, with this type of talent, they should be out there beating everybody and not having to come from behind. The Louisville game was a big, Pat Kelsey, who's the coach for Louisville, he has also established a great team. However, they've had their bumps and bruises growing up. It's hard to become a superstar when you are in your high school and then try to convert it over to the college, and then especially when you go from the college to the pros, that's even harder. But I think overall Duke has a great team. I think that what they just need to do is they just need to relax and, you know, work together as a team. That's one of the biggest things. Hello, you're on the Huddle.
Thank you for calling. You still there? All right. We'll call back. We'll answer again.
Yep, maybe.
Well, to your point you were just making there, though, Todd, if I'm a Duke fan, part of what I would be worried about is a lot of that, like you said, and then they just, to me, I haven't been laser locked in watching every second of Duke basketball, but the games that I've watched, the stuff that I've seen, it just doesn't, it looks like, and I guess you could take this as a positive spin or a negative spin, they haven't put together a complete game yet.
That's
they haven't
correct.
played 2 whole halves, and I guess if you are a Duke fan, you can sit around and say, well, you just wait until they do, and you can keep selling yourself that way. Or as we get farther into January, you have to start asking, are they going to?
And the worst part about it is being a Carolina fan, and you know I'm an obnoxious Carolina fan, is that I think that's going to happen, and it's scary. Because when they take over and they start, I don't think that right now, if you look at the talent, I don't think there's a team out there that when they are 100% gelling, 100% playing a full, complete game, that anybody's going to beat them.
No, that part I do agree with, and I've talked about that a little bit on the show when we had Jordan Mann call in to discuss Duke before the season kind of got fully underway. I asked him kind of about something like that. When Duke gets a good Isaiah Evans, like they got on Saturday against SMU, when he outscores Cam Boozer, he scores 21 points. When they get a good Slim Evans, I know what Duke's going to look like. But what are they going to look like when they don't? And that's part of that complete game that we're talking about.
And I tell you, you know, hey, you called the Huddle. I don't think nobody's wanting to speak to us. I think they're wanting to call in and listen. But anyway, yeah, I mean, where's Boobsy? You know, he had like 75 points against Carolina the other day, and he was almost, I don't know. Hey, good afternoon. You've called the Huddle, Todd and Vance. What can we do for you?
Look, Todd, last week I was listening to you, and you said it doesn't make no difference which team shows up. If you play Duke or if you play Carolina, you're going to get their A game.
Exactly, 100%.
And just like you said, when Wake Forest came to Chapel Hill, what happened?
They got the A game. They didn't get the A plus, but they got the A game. I tell you, that game, I was scared to death because I just knew that hitting all those 3-pointers. And now you watch. Next week, next game, they'll go 1 for 29 on 3-pointers, but they couldn't miss a 3-pointer Saturday afternoon. I mean, it's
another Saturday, another team shoots the lights out against Carolina. And I don't mind that trend.
Yeah, see, that's that state guy talking, ain't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's we done got to the point
where
where
to everybody shooting the lights out against Carolina.
And I don't know, Mike, I don't know if you heard this or not, but we had another defector leave Carolina and go to state in football.
The transfer portal.
Who was that?
The running back. I can't recall his name right now. Who was that? Vance?
I'm scrolling. It's further down.
I think it started with his last name started with a G. It's another one of those that's probably going to ride the bench for 90% of the season, like he did.
Davion Goss.
Goss, yeah.
Yep, I had to scroll down.
Now I want to talk what you was talking about last week. You was talking about Eli hitting the transfer portal. You were 1,000% right. How are you, a 5'9" quarterback, going to stand up against a 6'5" lineman?
You're not going to. because
don't understand it.
Yeah, because exactly what for repeat for other people that wasn't listening last week or just was tuning me out, which I'm used to, but when your quarterback is 5'9" and your average line is 6'5" to 6'7", now when you're down in the stance, you're roughly maybe about 5'2", 5'3", but when defense, and I've always been a defense guy, is we're taught to come off that line and stand that quarterback up and push him backwards, get him on his heels, and so when you stand them big boys up, you go from being 5'2" to being 6'5", and your 5'9" quarterback now can't see down the field because now he has a big wall in front of him.
Absolutely.
I wish him the best. I do. I think that maybe a D2 or a small D1 school, he would have been great. You put him in the slot. I mean, he is fast. Put him in the slot. Take him out of quarterback.
Really good at South Alabama. That's what got him to Carolina.
But
there's a reason he went to South Alabama.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's South Alabama at? They're not a Power 5 D1 school like Carolina. And I mean, what's the average line for them? Maybe 6 foot at the most.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
not as big as Carolina.
Yeah, not as big as them horses. Them 12 sandwich eating offensive linemen. Ain't no way.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to ask you one more question. I know I'm getting up on my time here. So, Bobby Petrino, I'm still a little skeptical, and I know you're like, well, he's got to be better than Freddie Kitchens. Now that will I 100% agree with, but Bobby Petrino?
Well, he's proved himself. He's a good OC, and I think that the baggage that comes with him.
That's where I'm going right
yeah,
there.
And now you have two baggages at UNC. You have both old coaches that likes to mess with younger girls, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I think if you take that overshadowing of what they've done and their history and stuff, and you look at their record, and I think that he's already brought in. Gosh, he's got like 6 or 7 of the big transfers coming in.
I think if he scores 40 points a game like he did at Arkansas, he can park his motorcycle wherever he wants to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he parked it right there at Belichick's parking space
on the back of it, going to adult competitive cheerleading competitions.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because
all right, guys, look,
he's already pulled in. He's already pulled in 3 from Arkansas. That's followed him from Arkansas. He's got 1 from Washington State. He's got 1 from Penn State. He's got 2 from Clemson. has done committed. Now he's got these guys out there in Texas. He's got one or two from Texas that's committed, and he's got one from LSU that's committed. I mean, he's bringing in some people.
Yes. I hope you're right. I really do. I honestly God hope you're right.
Side to that as well.
Yeah, there is.
And not a dark side. There's just a contradiction to it because Belichick won, and then everybody else that was talking about it was, well, he's got 70 new players on his roster. Give him some time. You can't do anything with 70 new players. Well, he just lost 65 of them, and you just named about 8 brand new ones that he brought in. So nothing changed. Give him some time for what?
Yeah, I mean
that's the counter argument to the he had 70 new players. Give him some time. That's why it wasn't very good.
And
well, they're all gone. And he's bringing in 70 new ones.
Well, yeah, that's true, and that goes back to just like with Carolina and Duke. You can't take 5, try to gel them and make them into a championship team, and then next year have to take a new 5 and gel them, turn them to a championship team. I mean, there has got to be something done about this NIL and stuff. And, last night, and we had the Williams football banquet, and he actually, Coach Stokes actually brought up this thing about NIL in high school. And, I mean, you look at the quarterback for Grimsley, 1.9.
Two athletes in North Carolina made over $1 million this year.
$1.9 million going to a 17-year-old that's playing high school football. $1.7 million. Let that sink in, people. He just barely is old enough to vote.
Good work if you can get it.
And now that has done leaked down into the high school levels. And
now,
go ahead, Mike.
I just heard. Oh gosh, I wish I could remember who it was. Somebody just paid. It was the Indiana kid entered the portal. Somebody just offered him $6.2 million to stay in college ranks.
Well, look at the guy for Brigham Young basketball, $17 million.
Yeah, we've reached a point where if you don't get drafted in the first round, you make more money in college. And that was that always happened at Alabama and LSU and the SEC schools, but now it's legal and worldwide.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
and I don't know if I've mentioned this online or but Drake May, when he was at Carolina, anybody knows anything about Carolina, you know where Gimgle Castle Road is, Gimgle Road and everything. That's your starting off at $700,000 homes, and they go up into the millions. Drake May had a house he owned there on Gimgle Drive. He drove a 2022 4Runner, brand new. He also had a 2022 Escalade, brand new.
It cost Carolina a lot of money to win those 7 games that year.
And he was making NIL money was over $2 million a year. Plus the university, everything that he did was paid for. The stuff that he got free meals Monday through Sunday, 3 meals a day, snacks, sodas, T-shirts, pullovers, computers, you name it. Anything that if you really want to see what some of these football and basketball players get from the university, go online and look at a good one is go look at Oregon. Go look at the Oregon players, what they get just from the university. It is outrageous. And he left to go to the pros. I mean, he had it made down at UNC, but
he was the 3rd pick in the draft, so that $2 million went to $20 million real fast.
That's true.
If you're Quinn Ewers and you're making 2 to go to Texas, and then you get drafted in the 7th round, and that $2 million turns to $383,000, I'm good. I'll stay at Texas.
League minimum. That's what that's called.
And you make more than that at Texas.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you. All right.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think of how much money these universities and they have NIL funding meetings where, like, I do know, me being in the Rams Club, I was part of.
I've donated to States NIL before.
Me being in the Rams Club, I've had been to those fundraisers. I was at the Eric Church fundraiser with Mac Brown. Not going to tell you how much it cost to get in, but it was more than Eric Church was worth. So I'm just saying. But and all that money went to the NIL portion of the scholarships and stuff. It's gotten to that point to where used to all of the money raised was by the Wolfpack Club, the Rams Club, the Iron Dukes, all that. Now they're just given a percentage, and everything else is coming from outside sources. So, where a player, and they used to, back in the day, used to have this thing, and me and you've talked about it, where they called laundry money, where they were given so much money, allowed so much money to pay for their laundry. Do these players at that time use that money for laundry? No, they don't. They bought their girlfriends rings. They bought new cars and stuff like that. And that's what that money was not allocated for. But now, it's allocated for doing whatever you want to do, and that makes Drake May driving around in 2 brand new, $80,000 cars and living in a $700,000 house. I don't blame them. I'm not talking bad about them. And like you said, if you can get it, get it.
Good work. If you can get it, I wouldn't say no.
But it in my opinion, and I'm strong behind it, it has destroyed college athletics.
Well, staying with college football, sticking kind of with the transfer portal, but also getting a little hyper-local here. Their season may have come to an end, Todd, but the Elon Phoenix have been the talk of the college football world, at least in rumblings, this weekend and today as well. As we know, Coach Curt Cignetti, former Elon head coach, I wrote it in green, that's why I said that, former Elon head coach, is headed to the national championship. He's coaching what looks like a war machine on a path to eliminate anyone in their way, as Indiana is just mowing teams down. And then the news broke today. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but speaking of the transfer portal, former Elon standout quarterback Landon Clark has committed to LSU. So he'll be transferring there. A very big step up for him. And if he succeeds, I don't think it'll be this year. I've got a theory on all of that. But if he succeeds, I do think it could actually go a really, really long way for Elon.
And he's good. He's real good. Yeah. We actually, the station here has season tickets over to Elon, and I've seen him in person, and he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal quarterback. And for him to step up and go to a bigger, D1 school, not saying anything bad about Elon, because Elon is a D1 school, regardless.
LSU. Love you, Coach Trish, but it's not LSU.
But it's not LSU, and that's a big step. Yep. But give Coach Trisciani all the props. Yep. Last year he had 3 going to the draft in the NFL. So
he'll have another one technically this year. I don't know; it'll be late, but he'll go to the NFL. The kid from NC State, the Hardy kid that played tight end.
Yeah, so Coach Trisciani is picking them up and putting them down over there across town. And like you were saying, Coach Cinetti brought, Coach Trish with him and brought him in. And then, of course, when he left to go to James Madison, Coach Trish, stepped up. But Coach Trish was there previously, before then, a couple of years, after he left Maine. And, congratulations to Coach Cinetti. And wish him all the best. Although we're pulling for the ACC, hope that the Hurricanes. And I know you got this recorded. You play it back. I'm pulling for the Hurricanes.
I definitely want Miami to win. I would love nothing more than to get to brag about the ACC when they're not that good.
But
I don't have to say that. I get to say they won the national championship. That's fine with me.
If Cincinnati wins the national championship, then you can.
That's also cool too.
You can brag about it because he was here at Elon.
Exactly. And like I was saying, I do think that if Landon Clark goes to LSU and if he succeeds, based on they're waiting on one other quarterback to potentially commit there. They're saying the kid from Arizona State, Sam Leavitt, is going to commit to LSU. If he does, he'll be their starter this year. And I think that could play to Clark's advantage too. But if not, and Clark has to start and he goes down and succeeds, then in my opinion, that is nothing but good for Elon, because these smaller schools, especially the Elons, the UNCGs, the CAAs of the world, they've got to start adapting, because this is the world we live in now. As terrible as it is, as messed up as it is, it's where we are. And if you want to succeed, in my opinion, I think you have to start taking a baseball approach and become a farm system for a bigger school. Go find these kids because I was talking with somebody about it earlier today. It was actually Harry. I think we're quickly approaching the days of head football coaches not even having to knock on the door of a high school recruit.
Well, that's why they have GMs.
Right.
GMs
but
are starting to do all that.
Like NC State, Carolina, Duke. Wait, why would you go recruit a freshman you've never seen play when there's 4,500 kids who have played college football in the transfer portal?
Right. Exactly.
So that's coming down to it. So if you're Coach Trish or if you're Coach at one of these smaller schools, why would you not go realistically knock on the door and say, hey, guess what, buddy? Alabama ain't coming today, but I am. And if you give me a year and a half, look what I did with that kid at LSU.
Yeah. Give me a year and a half.
We'll dominate the CAA. I'll be happy. Elon's fan base will be happy because we'll.
And then
wins.
you go to Alabama.
And then you go do what you got to do, and that is the cycle you repeat.
Well,
and like we've said before, every once in a while you get 3 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10. They're like, you know what, Elon's not that bad.
Yeah,
I'll graduate from here. Or they realize the unfortunate ultimate truth is that Alabama was never calling in the first place.
And a lot of people
where you belong.
And a lot of people don't realize that Elon is number 1 in MBA in the South.
Correct, exactly. So if you leave here,
they are a academical school that's ranked high. So that's why a lot of people don't really look at the saying student athlete. The student comes first, and I would almost guarantee that if I had an opportunity to get an education from a school like Elon, that I would take that if I knew I would never go and play in the professionals again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because once my 4 years up, I'm gonna use that education. I'm gonna go do something.
No, I could absolutely. And again, there will be things like that. So Coach Trish will get some veterans coming in as well. I think, as terrible of a cycle as it is, I do think there are ways around it to make it not that terrible. It's just got to be done correctly. And I'm just sitting here behind the microphone. We'll take another break. We'll get back on the other side. We'll talk about the NFL playoffs, the most exciting action from the weekend without a doubt. And then we'll send you on your way here on the Monday Night Huddle on WBAG.
The Monday Night Huddle is proudly sponsored by Things Above Christian Bookstore. When you need encouragement and community on your life's journey, visit Things Above Christian Bookstore. From books and church supplies to their cozy coffee shop and so much more. Don't go anywhere. Todd and Vance will be back right after this.
Are you looking to refresh your spirit and deepen your faith? Then come and discover Things Above Christian Bookstore. We have an inspiring collection of Christian and devotional books that will speak right to your heart. Searching for the perfect scripture? Browse our wide variety of Bible versions, from classic texts to modern translations. Bring the whole family. Your little ones will love exploring the engaging stories in our specially designed kids section. And here's a treat for you. Slow down and savor a peaceful moment at our wonderful in-house coffee shop. That's Things Above Christian Bookstore at 15 South East Court Square in Graham. We look forward to seeing you.
This segment of the Monday Night Huddle is brought to you by UniFirst Corporation, one of North America's largest providers of uniform rental and facility services, supplying uniforms, protective clothing, custom corporate image apparel, and facility programs to businesses across diverse industries. The guys will return right after this.
You can create a winning image for your team and keep your employees safe and productive with UniFirst. Every UniFirst uniform program includes comfortable workwear and exceptional service. UniFirst also has all the facility and safety products you need to help keep your workplace clean and your customers happy. At UniFirst, we always deliver because you always deliver. Visit us at unifirst.com.
This is the Monday Night Huddle on WBAG. Now, back to the action with Vance Ballard and Todd Davis.
I got to meet Coach Jane this past week over at Things Above and give a big shout out to her for her hospitality. Go down there and see her, man. I tell you what, that is a remarkable place. And when you walk in the door, you just feel the Christian love. I mean, and she greets everybody. She was down there talking to me for maybe about 15, 20 minutes, and there was so many times somebody walk in the door and she'd say, "Excuse me one second. Hey, welcome to Things Above. Is there something I can help you with?" I mean, she was greeting everybody that came in the door. So go down there and see her and tell her you heard us mention her right here on the Monday Night Huddle, and pick you up something down there. And they have more than just Christian stuff. They have jewelry, T-shirts. I mean, everything's Christian based, but they have Bibles, books, devotionals. They have little bookmarks, sayings, yard signs that says "Thank you, Jesus" and stuff like that. And they have a kitchen.
Best caramel frappe in town.
Yeah, I came in.
Best caramel frappe in town. Got no problem admitting that.
So last week I came in and I said, I said, is Miss Jane here? And the lady behind the counter sitting there at the coffee shop, she said, no. And I introduced myself to her. And I said, you know who Vance is? And she said, yes, it's the guy that wears the glasses. He comes in here almost all the time and gets a frappe.
Yep.
And I said, okay.
That would be me.
I'm going to have to revoke his man card because he's getting frappes.
I'm okay with that. They're good enough that you can have it.
And I even told you, I said, look, I said, you know, give me your man card and go drink some whiskey.
I gave it to you and went and got another frappe.
And went and got another frappe.
That's
so,
it.
But yeah, things above Court Square. They're in the corner. It's 15 southeast Court Square, located right beside Witt's ice cream or custards or whatever you call it. And just go in there and I tell you what, it is a remarkable place in there. They even have a kids section where they have a bunch of stuff. They have baptism certificates. They, I mean, I could sit here for hours and just tell you everything they have, but go look for yourself. And thanks, Coach Jane, for and we want to explain why she's called Coach Jane for people that don't know her.
Well, just to her sports history in general, she was friends with Coach John Wooden. She knew Coach Kay Yao and Sylvia Hatchell on a personal basis. She's had some time spent in the college coaching ranks throughout her career. If you go in, there's a Wichita State bench chair and a Wisconsin bench chair. You can ask her about those. They also have stories behind them as well.
NCAA championship players chair.
Yep. So all good stories there. She's very, very relevant to the Monday Night Huddle here, as well as Coach Jane. So once again, we appreciate Things Above for sponsoring the show, and make sure you tell them WBAG Sports sent you when you stop by and pick up something from the store.
You won't get any discount, but at least you'll feel better about yourself that you mentioned us. Yeah.
Well, like I mentioned before the break there, Todd, let's talk about what was the most exciting action from the weekend. The NFL playoffs, they delivered in pretty much every game, even the 16-3 at the end last night. There was not an awful game to watch, but they were led off this weekend by the Panthers and the Rams, finding themselves in a dog fight. Now, the Rams did get the win late in the game, but I think if you're a Panthers fan, there's an abundance of positives to take away from that game and realistically the entire season. I think they're a year ahead of schedule. I know that's a common take around here. It's not a hot take, not a crazy thing to say, but I do genuinely believe that it's true. They're 1 year and maybe a pass rush away from this being a really legitimately good team and a team to threaten winning a couple games in the playoffs.
And you know, the bad part about it is I'm not saying anything bad about Bryce Young, but that's another one that has stepped up this year. But in the past, you know, he went from being a Heisman Trophy at Alabama to barely able to throw a touchdown. So now, you know, he's actually developing, just like Trevor Lawrence down there at Jacksonville. Look what he did at Clemson. And his first 2 or 3 years in the pros, it was less than stellar.
That's a nice way to put it.
And then now, you know, he's in the playoffs and doing fairly decent. And I think that Bryce Young eventually will get there. He showed a lot of improvement this year. Showed a lot of improvement.
I agree. I think, like I say, if I'm a Panthers fan, I'm comfortable knowing that that's the quarterback going into next year. There are other pieces that need to get fixed around him, but for the first time in a very long time, I think the Panthers fan base can go into the offseason thinking, yeah, we got our quarterback. Let's figure it out around him. We have our running back. The offense looks pretty good. Let's figure out a pass rush. The Panthers have to get somebody in there to rush the pass a little bit better.
Yeah.
The defensive backfield is phenomenal. The linebackers aren't. They're above average. They're not bad by any means, but the pass rush has really let the Panthers down a couple times this season, and especially late in that game when Matt Stafford was able to kind of pick the defense apart, just a lot due to the fact that he had some time back there in the pocket to do whatever he wanted, really.
So, you know, we've beyond the Black Monday, and for those that do not understand what Black Monday is, and that is where your head football coach for NFL, after the final game of the season, are let go. And they call it Black Monday, so you get your walking papers. My question is the game that's getting ready to come on tonight between the Texans and the Steelers. They just showed a statistic popped up on the screen a while ago. Mike Tomlin is tied for third in the most consecutive playoff losses. If they get beat by Texas, and in my own opinion, the way Texas is playing, I'm about guaranteed that Texans are going to win tonight over Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Does Tomlin face?
Yeah. I think he's gone even if they win.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, he's never had a losing season. I know that.
And you're
he's
talking
also not won a playoff game in 10 years, and we're talking about the Steelers. So something's got to give. They don't. Now, normal fan bases who have struggled a lot, Panthers fans, Bengals fans like myself, Jets fans, Browns fans, I would chop my left arm off for 17 non-losing seasons in a row. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But this is the Steelers we're talking about. They have a little bit higher of a standard. And I also think that in a mutual way, a change of scenery would be good for both of them. Tomlin's still a very good football coach. I don't think he needs to ride off into the sunset or anything like that, and I think he'd have a job pretty quickly if they do let him go. But we're also already at 25% of the league needing a new head coach at the same time. So if you're waiting until tonight to determine, maybe wait till next time, because there's a lot of 8 other jobs that need filled too.
And you know who set that standard for Pittsburgh?
Chuck Noll.
That and then you know you talk about Terry.
They've had 3 coaches since World War II.
Then you talk about Terry Bradshaw, the blonde bomber, Franco Harris, the bus in the backfield. Then you've got the you know, of course, the Iron Curtain, you know, the Mean Joe Greens and all them. I mean, that was just, you know, everybody calls Chicago the monsters of the Midway. Actually, I think that you know, you could put Pittsburgh and even Washington and the big Hogs, you know, they used to call the Hogs, as part of the monsters of the Midway, when you know, if you want to technically be technical about it. And then, of course, you had Big Ben come in after that, and he just went. But I don't know, Aaron Rodgers is just...
I don't think they're going to win. I asked my friends earlier, is Aaron Rodgers going to win a playoff game? He's certainly capable of it, but I do think the Texans' defense is probably a little bit too much. We'll have to wait and see. They kick off in a few minutes.
Plus, they got C.J. Stroud, who's just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's. It depends on what Stroud shows up, which version of him they get. Realistically, that applies to the entirety of the Texans' offense. But the Steelers' defense is not a traditional Steelers defense either, so I think there's some room to give on that side of the ball, and so the Texans can take advantage. It's just a matter of what CJ shows up.
And breaking news that just broke earlier last week, the Dallas Cowboys have already been eliminated from next year's playoffs.
Yes,
already.
I saw that as well.
So.
Yep, can confirm.
Yeah, sorry, Cowboy fans.
Yep. Rest of the playoffs there, the Bears won 31-27 over the Packers. That was an incredible game, came down to the wire. The Bills 27-24 over the Jags. 49ers 23-19 over the Eagles. And the only 2-score game of the weekend, mentioned it at the top of the show, the Pats 16-3 over the Chargers. So despite it being 2 scores, and that one was it wasn't a blowout, but it was a domination.
Yeah, it was.
There was never out of control for the Patriots. But for the first 5 games of Wild Card Weekend, the largest scoring deficit being 13 points. That was a fun weekend of football, and I think we're in for a very exciting next month leading up until the Super Bowl.
Now, how do you feel about this? So, Carolina had Drake May, a winning quarterback, a very good quarterback. He leaves and goes to a losing New England and turns them around. And then they bring in Belichick from New England and Carolina reverses and starts losing again.
I mean,
and I'm saying that as being a true Carolina fan.
Just putting the pieces together. That's all that is.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you're not incorrect.
And Drake
May is phenomenal, and I've told you several times.
And I'll tell you exactly what
Carolina players, and he was on it.
And for people who don't know, and I was getting ready to say, your list consists of Carolina players you're waiting to graduate so you could cheer for.
Absolutely. Caleb Wilson is at the top of that list right now. But Drake May was on it at one time. He's also from Charlotte, so I can support that as well. He's from North Carolina. I do always find it interesting because most Panther fans from here anyway were raised to hate the Patriots. They took the first Super Bowl away from the Panthers. And Tom Brady was just Tom Brady growing up. So no, I've never really met a Panthers fan that's fond of the Patriots. But I know a lot of them who are also Tar Heel fans.
Well, you know,
a big moral dilemma there, having to pull for Drake May and the Patriots at the same time.
I've never had a problem with the Patriots. My teams have been Dallas and Atlanta. But believe it or not, this year I was an Atlanta fan the last game of the season.
I had no choice.
I had no choice.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I mean, and it's funny because, you know, everybody was pulling for the Yankees, and I decided, you know, I'm not going to pull for the Yankees. And others were pulling for Atlanta. I said, I'm not going to pull for Atlanta. I went out and I pulled for Cleveland and the Indians. And so, you know, I still call them the Cleveland Indians. They're not the Guardians to me. They're just like the Washington Redskins. They're still the Redskins to me. And like I said last week, the Greensboro Coliseum is the Greensboro Coliseum, not the First Horizon. No. It's not Gate City Boulevard. It's Lee Street.
Yep.
That's the way. And when somebody tells me Gate City Boulevard, I say, you mean Lee Street? Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I kind of diverted a little bit. And so I was like, I don't want to do anything. So I was a Washington Redskin fan growing up. Everybody in my family was a Atlanta Falcons fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can't everybody be right like me?
Well, you know,
so I'm just saying. But anyway,
when you are though. That's for sure.
And I'll let you know.
Well, it is getting time to wrap this huddle up here. We're about to break for the night. That's going to do it. But we can't leave without plugging one very special thing we've got upcoming. We told you several times that we talk about it all here on the Huddle, and we are officially on the countdown watch, ladies and gentlemen, just over a month away from the great American race. The Daytona 500 will be live right here on WBAG February 15th, kicking off another season of NASCAR right here on your hometown radio network, and some very exciting news for NASCAR fans in regards to the new season in the Daytona 500. It's been announced today, or maybe yesterday, I'm not sure when it came out, but I saw it today, that there will be a return to the Chase playoff system. So now we'll go back to 16 racers, 10 races, no eliminations, none of this other stuff that they tried and modernized it. But I think that's a very good return to a system that everyone I always talk to seem to enjoy the Chase system.
Yeah, and you know, some more big news, of course, you know, we will be carrying the Clash at Bowman Gray, mm-hmm. and that's a return back to the small short tracks.
Yeah.
And Rockingham is back on the circuit again. North Wilkesboro now has a Cup Series. They're going to be the Winter World Cup Series, and they're moving the All-Star race. I'm not mad at that.
No.
Give me a Cup Series race, and you take the All-Star race anywhere you want to.
Absolutely.
You know, listen, and so that just goes to show you how North Carolina and mm-hmm. the roots with NASCAR racing, racing in general, dirt racing, ARCA racing, all those ties in together, that this is NASCAR country. And to bring back the Rock, to bring back North Wilkesboro, to bring back the short tracks at Bowman Gray, mm-hmm. and have the Clash at Bowman Gray is just a testimony to what North Carolina can bring to NASCAR. So we got that coming up, but more importantly, tomorrow night, internet only, we have Williams at Eastern Alamance. That's going to be a barn burner. WBAG, AMFM.com. Now, Wednesday, both teams are on the West Coast. Duke is at California. However,
you know, the traditional West Coast road trip for the Atlantic Coast Conference schedule, where you have to play California and Stanford.
Yeah, so
what if they took the same plane?
They probably left.
I mean, obviously they both have enough money to not have to do that nowadays. But you got to think, had this happened 15, 20 years ago, somebody is going to offer, hey, why don't we just fly out there at the same time?
Yeah, fly out together. But we will not carry Duke and California because that tip-off is not till 11 p.m.
Yeah.
That is what's so frustrating about going out to these West Coast.
Carolina plays before that, right?
Carolina will play at Stanford at a 9 o'clock, so airtime will be at 8 p.m. Ronnie, if you're listening, I'll get your schedule to you, but Wednesday night, 8 p.m., UNC at Stanford, and then we'll be back on the radio on Friday night as we're going to Graham High School and the Bulldogs.
First time at Graham this season.
And the Bulldogs of Williams. Now, there will not be any girl game. The boys game will start at 7:30, so we'll go on the air roughly about 7:15, I think so. And that will be Friday night. And then Saturday, once again, have a double header. Both teams are back out on the West Coast for Saturday. Saturday.
It'll be 6:30 tip-off for that Southeast game on Friday night.
Okay. And then we'll only carry the Carolina at California because that airtime will be at 3, and then Duke will come in right up underneath them, so they'll be playing about the same time. But Ronnie, Wednesday, UNC at 8 p.m., and then tomorrow is internet only as Williams is going to Eastern Alamance, and then Friday we'll have Graham and Williams on both the internet and the radio, and then Saturday we'll have UNC. And that's all I got, folks. I hope you have a great week ahead. Thank you for tuning in to the Monday Night Huddle. Vance, Ballard, Todd Davis here with you. And Vance, any final words? Because I'm about to shut up.
No, not at all. That'll do it for us here. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to the Monday Night Huddle. We'll have some things coming for you on the WBAG AM/FM YouTube page this week, so make sure you go out, like, subscribe, comment all over that, and we'll bring you more in-depth coverage here on WBAG.